Howdy-ho YouTube, Major Cord here. Today's video is going to focus on a bit of nerdy gadgetry, a bit of gear modding, stuff I normally don't talk about, mainly because I don't do it often. But I'm not sure if I've mentioned this in any recent videos, because it's a fairly recent purchase, but I recently found myself one of these lovely Preon 2 pen lights, and as I think I mentioned in a couple videos previous to this, I own an Olight i3. And it came to my attention in a video, I forget the YouTuber who posted it, but if I can find it, I will either annotate the video or put the link in the description box, that you can put the head of the Olight i3 onto a Preon body. And that is exactly what I have done. And many of you are probably asking why I would do this. Because this Preon head is technologically, I guess you could argue, superior to the head of the Olight because it has a few extra modes. I mean, you still have the low, medium, and high beams, plus you have strobe, SOS, beacon, and stuff like that. So those hidden modes that you need to cycle through the modes a few times to get to. But my main issue with the standard head that came on the Preon, and I'll actually demonstrate this, is that as it comes, it is very, it's slippery. There's not a lot of traction on this light. And this light is actually sterile because I bought this actually as a Preon 1 and then bought the separate Preon 2 body tube. So the only marking on this entire light is actually for just the 4/7 symbol on the tail cap. But there's really no grip to this. They say it's their like tacky aluminum anodizing, but really there's not a ton of grip to this at all. So I find it really hard to actuate this light with the just using one hand. As you can see, it's really slightly difficult for me to do. I'm flickering between modes trying to do it. As you can see, I didn't even fully get the strobe on there. It's doable, but it's not a sure actuation every time. There's a bit of a slippage there. So upon discovering that this head in fact fits beautifully on this body, I jumped on that and installed it because this head has a knurled bezel. And this knurling, even though it's not really intense and grippy, gives your fingers just enough grip to, to actuate that light one-handed. And as you can see, actually, if I would tighten it all the way, there we go, it's just enough to get me that one-handed operation without slipping. So I can do this all day long, and my fingers aren't going to slip. I'm sure I miss, or I don't miss really, because in my day-to-day EDC usage of this flashlight, I don't use strobe or beacon or SOS. And on a small EDC pen light like this, I generally am not going to use those modes. If I am in a situation where I'm going to use those modes, like, say, camping or something like that, I'm going to turn to a larger flashlight anyway. So in a small light like this, I consider those like an emergency type mode anyway, and quite frankly, I don't miss them here. So I'm fine not having this head and giving up those modes for this extra bit of grip. And I also like the tint of the Olight head as compared to the Preon head. And to demonstrate this, I'm actually going to shove the Preon head into the Olight body because they are interchangeable in reverse. Just turn off my light and turn both on. As you can see, the Olight head on the Preon body has just almost a neutral white tint, and at least to my eyes, the Preon here on the left is more yellow, which does imitate I guess you could say natural light, or maybe an incandescent bulb a little more closely, but I don't know. If I'm using an LED, I prefer just a white light. I'm not a fan of more yellow tints. So that's just one benefit to me, I guess, of using this head. Plus, I'm a fan of the color blue, as you all know. So since I ended up just with a black plain Preon, that's a tongue twister, black plain Preon, say that 10 times fast, this little shock of color is really, really nice. So on top of the grip, I get a bit of color, I get the nice neutral tint, and I'm able to use this head and get a lot of extra output out of it because I'm, of course, using 2 cells instead of just 1. And I was afraid at first that I would end up like destroying this head, and if that happens, I'm not really worried about it because it's a $20 flashlight, but logically thinking about it, if the heads are virtually technologically identical, and this Preon head is capable of going from a 1-cell light to a 2-cell light, and it's just a matter of how much energy is put into them, assuming they are electrically regulated in a similar fashion, and I'm actually not very sure about how all this works, it should be able to take being on a 2-cell pen light body like this. I have not encountered any problems with it so far. I've been using it for about 2 weeks, and nothing bad has happened. The light hasn't heated up. It hasn't exploded, obviously. There's been no damage to it whatsoever. I've used it on high a couple times. It hasn't, had any adverse effects other than what it would have, experienced on a single cell body. So, yeah, this is my little gear mod to my everyday carry flashlight. I'm not exactly sure what this light is now, because I guess technically the light itself is the head. So it would be an Olight i3 EOS. But at the same time, the majority of the light is a P2 Preon. So, I don't know. That's I don't know, it's my Franken Preon, maybe? I don't know. Either way, it's interesting. And of course, I still have the P1 body, so I can just stick this head on that and take off this tail cap if I ever want the original Preon configuration, but quite frankly, this is essentially a Preon 1 right here, with the Olight pocket clip that I like, and some texturing on the body. So, really, you get the best of both worlds either way. Nice colors and functionality no matter what way you go with it. So, yeah, that's just my little attempt at gear modding. I haven't had any adverse effects thus far, and I wanted to share this with you. So yeah, if any of you guys have attempted something like this or tried this particular mod and have any information you want to share or any personal experience with it, please feel free. Right below in the comments, shoot me a PM. And other than that, thank you very much for watching, and take care.